Alright, hello people, I'm the Dude, and this is going to be my rant review of The Conjuring. Uh, short and sweet of it, people are always asking, why don't you give the rundown at the beginning? Because maybe I don't want to watch the whole video or blah blah blah. Okay, fine, douchebag. Short and sweet of it was a good movie with an underwhelming ending. That's it. That'd be the short version. The long version, and there's going to be spoilers. Starting right now. I'm going to go into the movie. Long version. There's a pair of demonologists. They're husband and wife. Their names are Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're actually the real main characters of this movie. The family, the one that's being haunted, they aren't the main characters. I mean, they're there throughout the movie, but they're not the driving force of the movie. Not by a long shot. Mainly it's Lorraine, but sometimes it's Ed. But anyways, they're demonologists. Early in the movie, they establish this scene where they find these two nurses who were asked by some kind of ghost, they thought it was a ghost, to let them inhabit a doll so it could live on with them or something. It's really strange. But they get the doll, and the doll starts doing really evil shit. It starts wrecking their house and just generally being scary. So, the Warrens show up to the rescue, and they take the doll. And most of that scene that early scene with the nurses, it's completely superfluous to the rest of the movie. But what it does establish is their trophy room. In their house, the Warrens have this, they have this room where it's just cursed items. It's like Friday the 13th, the series. If you ever watched it, great fucking series, by the way. Love that series. But the whole series is about them recovering cursed items. Their grandfather or whatever had collected a bunch of cursed items over his lifetime, and then somehow, I can't remember at the beginning of the series, they lose everything. I think that it all gets sold. That's what it is. It all gets sold. They don't know that they're cursed, and they sell it all when the grandfather dies. And the rest of the series is them trying to hunt down these items and collect them back, because they're evil. They all do something evil. They're either possessed, or they cause, some kind of problem for the owner, or stuff like that. Evil things happen. So the Warrens, basically, they collect all these cursed objects and keep them in this room in their house. And that's what the doll is. The demon-infested doll or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. It's got a name, like Maribel or something like that. But all that really did was set up that room, right? And I'm thinking early in the movie, I'm like, okay, this room is going to be important, right? Because it's such a cool setup. They have a room in their house full of cursed items. And they explain that, no, it's safe because they bless the house. Every month or something like that, they bless the house. So even though they're cursed items and they have demonic presences in them and stuff like that, I think the way they phrase it is they're catalysts for demons or something like that. Even though they're truly evil, they all have them on these shelves, on these shelves and cupboards and all this stuff in this room, lined up, a whole room full of them. I'm like, okay, this is gonna go somewhere, right? You can't have something this cool and do nothing with it, right? They do nothing with it, in case you're wondering. Nothing at all. They put the doll in the room, and you see the room later in the movie, two more times. In one scene, you see the room twice. That's it. And it has no bearing on the rest of the story at all. None. At all. Such a fucking letdown. And that beginning scene, the very beginning of the movie with the nurses and the doll and all that did was set up that one room. That's all that scene did for the movie. They got the doll. That's how they got the doll. They found a cursed item, basically, and they brought it to the room. Completely worthless. It does nothing for the movie at all. It's very underwhelming. The next set of scenes, they establish that the Warrens are demonologists and they teach people about their craft, I guess, whatever. And their last job was this exorcism. They exorcised Miguel such and such or whatever. And during the exorcism, Lorraine, who is clairvoyant or whatever, she can feel things and see the ghosts and stuff like that. She's intuitive or whatever. She sees something during the exorcism. She sees something that freaks her out. And for I think they said a week after, she's basically in a coma or something like that. She won't talk, she won't eat, she won't move, any of that stuff. So she's wrecked completely for a week after. Again, this scene sets something up, right? Makes perfect sense. You don't put these little fucking tidbits in a movie. something that blatantly is leading up to something, and then do nothing with it, right? No, they did nothing with it at all. There is an exorcism later in the movie, but she doesn't see anything. She doesn't freak out. She's not affected by it at all, in any way. So what the hell's the point of mentioning this one scene, really early in the movie, multiple times throughout the movie? None. There is no sense in it at all. It's completely useless. It makes no sense. Like I said, you get to see the scene itself early where he's like, I cast you out, demon, blah, 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 and they're doing the exorcism, and then she's like looking right into Miguel's eyes as the demon's being exorcised, and she just loses her shit. You're thinking, if they're going to mention this multiple times throughout the movie, no, I don't want you to go with me because, bad things could happen again and blah, blah. They do nothing with it at all. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a road going nowhere. And then later on in the movie, right, they bring, the exorcism happens, the real exorcism happens. Actually, I'll go in order of the movie. Okay, so they find the doll, they put it in the room. Nothing really happens. I'll mention that later. You see the exorcism of Miguel, and what happened to her. Nothing happens with that. The family, by this point, everything before now has been benign. Things start actually happening. I think the first thing is they hear noises and the clocks stop at a certain time of day. It's like 3-something in the morning or something like that. And then the next thing that happens is the dog dies. You don't get any sense of, I don't know how to put this. You don't care about the dog because they didn't attach the dog to the audience, if that makes sense. You didn't get attached to the dog because you only saw it like once before. I mean, right when they move in, you see the dog barking at the house. Obviously, it's barking at whatever is haunting the house. He doesn't want to go in the house. So he's like, okay, I'll just chain it up outside. The second time you see the dog, it's already dead. So you have absolutely no time to get attached to the dog at all. They needed a scene where the girl's playing with the dog. It's her dog. She's having a ball and, fun times, and they're rolling around and she's petting and all that stuff. No, none of that happens at all. At all. The movie did not earn the dog's death at all. It's just something that happens and then is completely forgotten about 2 seconds later. The girl, it's supposed to be her dog, and she's supposed to be really broken up when it dies. She never mentions the dog again. Ever. I mean, you think about it, if this is her dog, and she loves it and all that, and, the way she's supposed to, early in the movie, she'd be, broken up about it. She'd be crushed. No. She just goes on about her life like there was never a dog, There's so many dead ends in this movie. So many things that go nowhere. That don't add to the plot at all. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. They're all pretty much right at the beginning of the movie too, which is really weird. They're all clustered right there at the beginning of the movie. It's like, tons of different wasted potential moments where something interesting could happen. But nothing really does. So, anyways, the dog dies, and everyone promptly forgets that a demon existed. I think the next big thing is the witch demon, whatever the hell it is. They're very confused about what it actually is. At one point when they first get to the house, they're like, it's an unliving presence and it must be a demon, something that has never lived or roamed the earth or blah blah whatever. So they say it's a demon, right? Later on they say no, it's a witch. It lived on this land and it was burned as a witch and blah blah. So, it was an actual person. So is it a witch who was an actual person, or is it a demon who never lived? I mean, you need to make up your mind. Is it both? Is the witch a demon? I don't know. I mean, very confusing. But anyways, whenever the witch demon thing starts doing something significant, is when it starts grabbing the girl's leg. She's sleeping and it's like tugging on her leg. She, it pulls on her leg a little bit, and she thinks it's one of the other kids, one of her sisters. And she's like, stop doing that, whatever your name is. I can't remember what her name is, the sister. And she thinks it's, one of them messing with her. And nothing really happens after that, It pulls on her leg a couple of times. She thinks it's her sister, and she just goes back to sleep. The next event, I think, that happens is when the mom is playing hide-and-seek with the little girl, the youngest. And they're playing, like, the clapping game. I've never heard of this, but I guess it makes sense. You're blindfolded. The other person goes and hides. And then you ask them to clap, and you get 3 tries. They clap 3 times, and if you can't find them, you lose, I guess. But she's following the clapping. She follows this armoire thing, and she hears giggling inside. She hears the clapping, and she's like, "Oh, I found you!" Blah blah. And she's like reaching in the armoire. You probably see where this is going. The little girl's not in there. The little girl that she's playing the game with, her daughter, isn't in there. So it's obviously a ghost or the witch or something. I don't know. That was the next big scene, and then when the shit actually starts hitting the fan. I can't remember which one comes first, but there's two scenes where it's evident that something really wrong is going on. The daughter gets her leg pulled again, right? And you're thinking at this point, okay, it's gonna yank her out of bed. You know, that's what it's going for. It's pulling on her leg, right? I mean, eventually it's gonna pull her out of bed. That's not really what happens, although it is a really good scene. It pulls on her leg. She looks up and she's looking around and she sees that her sister is still in the bed across the room, so it's not her, and she starts freaking out. Then the closet door opens, right? It's always the fucking closet. Why is it always the closet? What the fuck? But anyways, the closet door opens and she's losing her shit, and then the older daughter wakes up, the one that's in the room with her, the one that the younger daughter thought it was her that was messing with her. She wakes up and she sees that her sister is absolutely terrified. The little girl was really good in that scene. She was really fucking good, really believable. So the older daughter wakes up and she sees that her little sister's losing her shit. And she's like, "What is it?" And she's like, "It's the closet." And she's like, "What about the closet?" And she's like, "There's someone in there." And the screen keeps panning back to the closet. I can't see shit, I don't see anyone in the closet. I don't see anything happening. And the older daughter or whatever, she's like, "There's no one in there. I don't see anything." She's like, "He's talking to me." I'm like, "Oh my god." So the older daughter gets up, right, and she walks across the room to the closet. And actually, I don't want to spoil this because this might be the best scene in the whole movie, but let's just say cool shit happens. It's a really good scene. It built tension within that scene really, really well, because it starts out small, and then just everything the little girl says is just so fucking creepy. I mean, really, really good scene. And then I think the next scene, it's either this happened just before this or just after, but the mom, she hears noises in the basement, in the cellar, whatever the hell it is. She goes down there and she hears noises, and she thinks it's like a burglar or something, I think, at the time. Or something. She doesn't know what it is. So she hears noises and she starts going back upstairs, and she yells behind her something like, "I'm going to lock the door, I'm going to lock you down here, I'm going to lock the door behind me." She doesn't know what it is. And then the lights go out and she gets yanked down the stairs and shit just gets serious. She's like, she's trying to light these matches to see around her, and it's really, really creepy scene. And short and sweet of it is the demon, witch, whatever, gets her. She gets the mother in that scene and infests her, is the way they want to phrase it. There's like 3 steps. There's infestation, oppression, and then possession, I think, were the 3 steps. So it like infests the house, trying to scare its target or whatever, and then it oppresses the target, so it loses it weakens or whatever, something like that. Like, you lose your willpower and then it possesses you. So it's trying to infest her, I guess, or something. I don't know, whatever. And those are the big scenes in the earlier part of the movie. And then once the Warrens show up, which I think it happens pretty much right after she gets infested or whatever, they show up, and Lorraine has got like magical powers where she can see the ghosts and feel their presence and sense them and all this stuff. So she gets this tour of the house where they're talking and chatting and all this stuff. And at the end of the scene, she's like, "I've seen the presence. I've already seen it multiple times." And the scene rewinds itself, and you see like her going through the progression, but she's actually seeing the ghost there with them. Like, the ghost was attached to the mom, and whenever the family was standing together, it was behind them, and really creepy shit. It's very Insidious. The movie Insidious, where the ghost or the presence or the demon or whatever, depending on the scene, whichever monster we're talking about, it's always there in the background behind them, like being creepy. It's very much like that. And everything just seriously starts going downhill from there. They try to set up these like cameras and instruments and all this crap to record the ghosts and find out what's going on. And basically it starts attacking people, and it yanks the daughter around the house by her hair, and the mother gets attacked again in the bedroom. And I think this is when it possesses her, or it tries to, or something like that. I don't know, because she doesn't immediately start doing evil things, but it's possible. I don't know. But basically, this is the meat and potatoes of the movie, where, it's very obvious that there's some kind of presence and it's doing bad things. And then the end of the movie, past pretty much all the good stuff, I guess, that would be the better part of the movie. The like middle 2/3 of the movie. The end is where the exorcism comes. You know what's going to come because they keep referencing it throughout the movie. They want to call this priest, right? And they're like, well, we don't have enough time to get him here because she's going to die before he can get here or something. I don't know how they know that, but whatever. He's like, I'm going to do the exorcism myself. Ed Warren, the demonologist guy, whatever. He's going to do the exorcism himself. You get the feeling that this is going to fail because he said that, you have to have a real priest. He's not a real priest. It does fail, but not in any interesting way. It's just they try to exorcise the mom. It doesn't really work, and she goes running off into the floorboards. And then she finds the daughter, the youngest daughter, and tries to kill her. And Lorraine puts her hand on her head and says, remember that, beautiful memory where you said that you'd, never harm your kids and blah, blah, blah. And then somehow that exorcises the demon. I don't understand it. It didn't make any sense in the context of the movie. At the time when I was watching the movie, I was thinking, okay, so this hokey bullshit ending, it's in a lot of movies. The really saccharine, sweet, happy ending. And you're thinking, okay, where's the payoff? Something's going to happen after that. Like, the witch isn't actually dead, or there's another demon. Because there's a lot of different ghosts in the house. Maybe there's another one. Or maybe the witch is going to follow the Warrens back to their house. Because earlier in the movie, I completely forgot about it. Probably the best scene in the entire movie, or one of the best. The witch somehow jumps to the Warrens' house. They live nowhere near here. They're like in another state, if I remember right. Somehow gets to their house and basically just scares the living shit out of their daughter. They have a daughter too, by the way. I'm trying to remember what her name is. I think it's like Judy or something like that. Something like that. But anyways, the witch, don't ask me how, but the witch somehow gets off of her land, which is what she's been haunting all this time, gets to the Warrens' house, and just scares the shit out of this little girl. The witch, somehow she can, like, bend the light. She doesn't turn the lights off. She just makes it dark anyways somehow. And the darkness is chasing the little girl around the house. It chases her into this one room. And then you see the rocking chair starts swinging. She turns around and the witch is there, like, petting the doll from earlier in the movie. That doll that the nurses had or whatever. She's, like, fetched the doll out of the cursed room and she's, like, petting it while she's rocking in the chair. And then she slowly looks over at the girl, and the girl just loses her shit. But yeah, it was a really cool scene. But actually, I don't know why that's another scene that didn't go anywhere. Now that I think about it, what is that, like the 4th or 5th scene that didn't go anywhere? Why did the witch go to her house? What was the point of that? I mean, if it wanted to scare the Warrens or whatever, it failed. I mean, yeah, they were scared, but they didn't act on it. They completely ignored it. As far as, like, in the context of the movie, they did nothing about it at all. That the witch was actually there haunting their kid. They just go right back to the other people's houses and go back to helping them. So, what was the point of that scene? Don't get me wrong, it was a good scene, in the moment, but what did it do for the movie? It didn't really do anything. You never see the Warrens' daughter again. She's safe at the end of the scene, so presumably she's safe at the end of the movie. But I don't think you ever see her again, not even at the very end where they go back to their house. The witch never leaves the house again, or at least we don't know that it did. If it did, nothing happens from that scene. It's wasted potential, especially since that's either the first or best scene in the entire movie. Very wasted potential. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a dead end. But anyways, it's a movie that has the right idea. Bottom line, it knows what horror is. It knows how to build tension. It does it really well. It builds slowly over the movie, and it builds really well within scenes. The horror scenes start out slow, each individual scene, and then build up tension until something crazy happens. And it's genuinely unsettling at parts. I'm looking at the screen, and the hair stands up on my arm, and I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Something's gonna happen. That kind of moment where you have to know. You have to know what's gonna happen next. It does that really well. The problem is there's just no payoff at the end. The ending is just stupid. I mean, it doesn't make any sense in the context of the movie, and it sure as shit doesn't make any sense in the context of a horror movie. I mean, it's a horror movie with a genuinely happy ending. Nothing bad happens at the end of the movie. The whole family is okay. The Warrens are okay. Their daughter is okay. The Oriental guy and the cop or whatever that work for them, they're okay. Everyone's fine at the end of the movie. I mean, nothing happens at the end of this movie. It's just a truly, sunshine and rainbows ending that just doesn't make any sense. Especially in a horror movie. You can't build that much tension and just have nothing happen at the end of the movie. It just doesn't work. Honestly. I mean, it's like the Poltergeist movies. Have you ever seen... I hope I'm talking to someone that can't even respond. Anyways, in the Poltergeist movies, right? Almost all of them, they have a happy ending. The family fights off the white-haired guy. The evil demon, or not demon, the evil ghost guy, presence, whatever the hell he is. They fight him off by the end of the movie, and everything's happy-go-dory and happy-go-lucky and all that crap, and, they're all smiling and hugging and all this, and then the real ending hits. That's the way that you do a horror movie. If you're going to have a happy ending, you got to have something after it. You got to kick the audience in the teeth at the end. You can't have a true happy ending in a horror movie. It just doesn't work. I mean, it's a horror movie. It's against the principle. So yeah, I don't know. The ending really bothered me a lot. After that scene where, Lorraine puts her hand on the mother's head and she's like, "Remember the beach," and blah blah, and the happy memory and all that. And she fights off the witch demon, and the demon just disappears for the rest of the movie, and blah, blah. After that, when the family's all happy and hugging and thanking them for saving them and all that stuff, the Warrens go back to their house. They're wherever their home is. Like I said, I think it's in a different state, but they go back to their house, and everything's fine. Everything's great. They're all happy to be home, blah, blah. And he has the music box. I don't think I mentioned the music box earlier, but one of the ghosts of the kids that the demon killed, the witch killed in the past, his name was Rory. He showed up, again, it's another dead end. He showed up multiple times throughout the movie. He was the youngest girl's imaginary friend or whatever, but he was actually a ghost. Nothing really happens with him at all. His little story, I mean, there's no conclusion to it. It's just, she killed him sometime in the past. He happens to be there throughout the movie. A couple of times you see him in like a mirror and stuff like that, vaguely see him. But he never really does anything. But they established early on that the music box that the little girl found was his. And apparently if you open the music box and play the music and wait, you'll see him in the reflection in the mirror in the music box. And the mom does it. She doesn't see anything. Lorraine does it. She sees Rory or whatever in the music box. But Rory's not malevolent. He's not evil. He's just a little kid that got killed. He's just there. He's stuck or whatever. He doesn't have evil intentions. And at the end of the movie, they have the music box, and they're putting it in the cursed room. The room with all the cursed objects. Why? It has nothing to do with the witch. Nothing at all. The witch has never even slightly hinted that she had anything to do with the fucking music box. It has nothing to do with her at all. Why are you putting it in the cursed room? It doesn't make any sense. Why do you even have the music box? They put it back in the wall earlier in the movie where they found it. And then at the end of the movie, Ed Warren has it in his hand for some reason. I don't know why. But he takes it and he puts it in the cursed room. And the very end of the movie is the music box playing for some reason. Maybe that's supposed to mean that the witch is haunting it now? I don't know. I don't know why she would. She's never shown any interest in it throughout the entire movie. I mean, you could make a big jump in logic and just say, well, the music box came on, so obviously she's haunting it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but whatever, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Just too many disappointments throughout this movie. Like I said, the director, at the very least, he knows how to make it a good horror movie. He just doesn't know how to end scenes. You know, I mean, he knows how to build tension well. He knows how to build the characters well. We get to know them throughout the movie. They all have their own little scenes and their own little things that go on with them and all that stuff. But he doesn't know how to end scenes at all. Even the best ones in the movie have mediocre endings. Like the one where the Warren's daughter, she's getting chased by the witch or whatever. You think that something big's gonna happen there, like the witch is gonna get her, you know, or she's gonna disappear, you know, or something interesting's gonna happen in the scene. No, the Warrens just get to the house. They open up. They finally like bash down the door or whatever, and she's just standing there. You know, they just find her and she's all crying and they hug her and blah, and that's it. The scene earlier when the closet. I was thinking like the older daughter was gonna get yanked into the closet and disappear for the rest of the movie, or, you know, get possessed or killed or something. Something interesting is gonna happen. No. The ghost just disappears. The witch just disappears from the closet. There's no big payoff at the end of that scene. I mean, he doesn't know what to do once he's built up the tension. He doesn't know what to do with it, and it's a really big problem in this movie. I don't know how else to put it, honestly. I mean, overall, I did like the movie, but the ending was just so stupid. You have to see the movie to see how stupid the ending is, and to get a feel for why it didn't earn that ending at all. You know, I mean, it wasn't building up to that ending at all. It was building up to the exorcism, and the exorcism went nowhere. The exorcism did nothing. They mentioned the exorcism so many times throughout the movie. I mean, they referenced it multiple times, and it happened to them in the past, and what happened to Lorraine during that other exorcism, and, you know, they're all going over what's going to happen during the exorcism, and blah, 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 and then the exorcism does nothing. It goes nowhere. I mean, it's a massive waste of space. It does nothing. It's not the climax of the movie at all. I mean, it's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see a movie with this much potential that just doesn't know what to do with it. I don't know how else to put it. Let's see, 69, 7.7. I don't know, maybe a 7's a little high, honestly. Maybe more like a 6. Yeah, maybe more like a 6, honestly. 7.7 is definitely way too high. In my personal opinion. Way too high. But anyways, there was my rant about The Conjuring. I mean, honestly, if you want a blurb, if you want like one sentence to latch onto, wasted fucking potential. That's it. Seriously. Because this could have been a great movie. It really could have. I mean, even all the wasted potential earlier in the movie, with you know the mentioning the earlier exorcism and the cursed items, and you know like the dog and even the daughter with Rory. Nothing happened with Rory at all. They set up this thing where the little girl is seeing a ghost, you know, and you know all these creepy things are happening, and the mom, like, you know, she's following the ghost into the cupboard, and he's laughing and all this. Nothing happens with that at all. You never see Rory again. He serves no purpose. But even ignoring all those dead ends earlier in the movie, the biggest problem was the ending. The ending was just such a letdown. It went nowhere. I don't know how else to put it. Anyways, so there was a rant review. I haven't done these in a while. I'll probably do one of those monthly ones soon. In fact, I think I'm like a week late on that, but what can you do? I just forgot about it. I've been doing other things, so this will take its place, I guess, for now. Oh yeah, would I recommend The Conjuring? Shit, I don't know. At the end of the day, at least it has part of the formula right, whereas most horror movies these days are just complete shit, or they're not real horror. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Saw series is bad, or the Hostel series, or all the fucking retarded-ass remakes of every horror movie that's ever been made. They get to remake everything these days. All that stuff, I'm not saying all of it is bad. I'm just saying that anything that tries to be an actual genuine horror movie these days, they usually get it horribly wrong. I mean, there's no more Wes Carpenters anymore. You don't get them, or like Stephen King's, that kind of thing. They just don't exist, honestly. Not these days. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I would recommend it just because it's better than what we get these days. On the whole, it's better. Not amazing, but better. It's a step in the right direction, let's put it that way. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.